me both have to be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say we aren't, but I feel like I can only speak for myself that there needs to be like more work done so we could keep going. Because there's a lot of focus on our family. There's a lot of focus.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are giving you guys a video telling you guys about why is it that our good friend here, Big Sean, is not marrying Jhene Aiko. I can tell you very quickly in a few words. Listen, number one, he's afraid of commitment. Number two, it is because the weaknesses and the threats are much more stronger than the strengths and the opportunities of this relationship. Let me say it again. What he has found out is that the weaknesses and the threats of the relationship, i.e., external issues that are beyond his control, that are in the other party, and internal issues that he has, which is the weaknesses and then the threats on her side, are outweighing the strengths and the opportunities to go and get married. Men make decisions about marriage like this in their brain. They don't necessarily do it with a SWOT analysis, but they make decisions about why they're going to marry someone, especially when they've been with someone for so long, because reality hits is that the threats and the weaknesses, the external and the internal issues, are much more greater than the strengths and the opportunities. Right. And so that's what we're seeing with Jhene Aiko and Big Sean right now. But I'm going to break it all the way down. I'm going to give you more analysis as to why this relationship isn't working. So before you go anywhere else, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. I'm your favorite relation and dating coach. And subscribe to the channel, and make sure you guys also if you need it, sign up to our coaching as well. There's a little bit of a 3-month wait, I do know that, but I have opened up some more slots. They're called emergency slots. Yes, so if you're somebody who wants to jump the queue, it's going to cost you, but I have emergency slots that are going to be on Monday and Thursdays. And if you desperately need the coaching, you want it now, you want your answers now, you want to be healed now, you want transformation growth, you want it now, then make sure you use the link down below in the description box. You should see it there under emergency coaching as well. All right, cool. Let's get into this video because I want to break it down for you guys, be able to understand what's actually happening. Why is it that, Big Sean, someone who's been with Jhene Aiko for what? Since 2016 almost. It's almost, 8 years they've been together almost, in a sense, or they've known each other since 2012, to be honest. So they've been friends first. He's seen her relationships. She's seen his particular relationships. Why is it that he doesn't want to marry her? Well, I think first and foremost, a fear of commitment. Let's just go slightly back into the video. I won't do too much of a deep analysis. I'll do that in part 2.
Have dealt with love. We've had our ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's still finding the right navigation through it all. I don't know if
I want to pause it right there. He said, the issue that they're having right now is they're trying to find a way of navigating through it all. That is code word for we don't handle conflict very well. We're not very, there's some behaviors that we both do, or maybe one person does, which for me doesn't work for me in terms of wanting to commit to a marriage. There is too much threat, too much weakness in this particular relationship that I fear that should we begin a ship in the area of marriage, that the ship will not dock, it will be capsized, it will break down, it will not make it to its destination. We will fail to get to the other side based upon things that I'm seeing, witnessing, and experiencing within that relationship. It was code word. We're not handling things very well, meaning the way that we're operating in relationships is not the way we need to operate. Now, if you know his background in terms of his history and her history, they both come from homes that are from divorcees, right? That changes the way that you look at marriage. That changes the way that you look at relationships, and it can affect you in the way that you want to go towards marriage. Now, I'll do that in part 2, where I go a deep analysis in terms of the background, because you know how I love to do childhood. But I want to stick to the video on this particular occasion, right? To what he's actually saying.
If, to me, marriage symbolizes like the best relationship, people be like, oh, you got to get married.
Now, let's pause it right there. He just said marriage symbolizes the best form of relationship, which means he's not living the best form of relationship right now, which means there are issues within the relationship that is plaguing him. Men don't get married to the woman that they're with because they sense there are issues within themselves or the other party, which they know it will not allow the relationship to flourish, the marriage to flourish. And the Bible says, count the cost before you build. And I think a lot of men, whether they're good or bad, count the cost of getting into marriage, one, divorcing and the strenuous aspect of divorcing and what you can lose, but also the fact that you have to break a covenant, the fact that you have to, you're locked in, you're tied in, you've made the ultimate commitment. Okay, we're gonna go break it down even more.
To me, I feel like having a relationship is first and foremost, and like marriage is a byproduct of that. And I feel like a lot of people get the idea of like, oh, you have to get married, but then it's like, to me, that's almost a fear-based way of thinking too, because then people.
Now, if you notice the way that, see, when people are trying to make sense of the issues that they have, when they are struggling to make the reality make sense, they start twisting things that don't need to be twisted. Now he's going to say that, you know, getting married actually is can even become a fear-based perspective, which technically it could. I'm not even going to argue on that. Some people get married because they're afraid of being alone. That's not your issue, though, right? That's not your issue. Yeah, your issue is there are issues within the relationship that are preventing you from getting married because you had already proposed to somebody. Your previous girlfriend before Ariana Grande, he had proposed to her, and I didn't even know. When you look at their relationship, the reason why they broke up was there were issues within that relationship. For instance, there was a toxic behaviors, and we found out from what's her name? Was it a name Naira, who unfortunately has passed away. Rest in peace. She passed away, but she was also toxic with her actual husband as well. She got done for domestic aspects, you know, physical. So it's no wonder that in their relationship, though he proposed to her, right, there was toxicity. Why did he propose to somebody who had toxicity in them? Well, you'd only propose to somebody who has toxicity in them if you have some yourself. If you are somebody who's a Captain Save more, maybe, or maybe you're somebody who is not even aware of their own toxicity that they bring to the relationship, and so therefore mirror meets mirror. Right? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the toxic one of them all? It looks like both of us are toxic. And so you're able to stand in a place where someone brings toxicity to you. Because why would you marry somebody who's toxic? Why would you want to engage yourself with somebody toxic? Except you don't realize it is toxic. Number one, you have a failure to discern. And number two, that you have some toxicity within yourself. That's why you're failing to discern. Right? But we're going to break that down in another video. All right? I want to stick to this. Okay? All right, cool. So I'm going to bring my SWOT analysis, because I don't want to make this very long. Okay, in a second or two, just
people be getting divorced. Mm-hmm. The divorce rate's so fucking high, and I am someone who, I'm not like discounting anything, and I'm not saying that we aren't gonna get married. But what I'm saying is that it's just, I would like to do a lot. I would like to, and I don't like putting our personal business.
Like he would like see. I think there's a lot that he said. He started off by saying, "I would, you know, the reason why I'm not saying I'm not getting married, but you know, there's a lot that I wanna." There's a lot that he wants to what? There's a lot that he wants to fix about this relationship. I think he might be a little bit of a fixer. My friend, if Jhene Aiko is not the one, leave her alone, bro. I think you might be a little bit of a fixer. I think you might be a little bit of a fixer. And when I do part 3 and 4, when I start breaking down Jhene Aiko as well and her background, she's got a fear of abandonment and fear of loss. Right, so that plays a big role in how some people can actually attach themselves in relationships, right? And so we start looking at your background, start looking at your past partners. You start to put a story together. And you start realizing, you know what I'm saying to you. Now, let me bring onto the screen my SWOT analysis. I want to bring this on before I go a little bit deeper to make you understand what's actually happening. Okay, all right. So you see what's going on. Okay, cool. So here we go. So this is my screen here, as you can see. Here we go. So this is my Word document. I'm going to make it slightly larger so you can actually see it as well, right? We're going to go through this, okay? Big Sean and Jhene Aiko. Let me put this away. Just close for now. It will come back on. Okay, so Big Sean and Jhene Aiko. Why is he not marrying her? Well, first and foremost, why men don't want to marry you? Simply this. Oftentimes it's fear of commitment and because he sees madness. Okay, either himself or in you. Okay, we're gonna use a SWOT analysis to break this thing down. Okay, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're gonna break down the relationship as to why a man won't marry you and make you understand. I want you to understand this: when the weaknesses plus the threats are more weightier than the strengths and opportunities, men will either stall or they will leave. And I'll break that down why they stay. Why does a man stay? He stays because he believes it can be fixed or it can get better. Notice when he was talking earlier on, it's an opportunity, by the way. It's in the box of opportunity. When a man decides that he's going to, when a man is going to decide he wants to get married, right, and he sees certain behaviors, he'll stall and he will try to see, okay, is this going to get better? He might give himself a little bit of a time because remember, they have a really great friendship. They've been together friends since 2012 till now. That's 12 years. Right, you know, they've been friends for a long time before they got married. They've seen other partners. It's a lot. right? And if you go into a clip before, I'm going to take this off screen real quickly again. I just want to bring a clip to you guys as well, really quickly. And I want you to remember this, I want to play this part for you, just so you have a little idea, because this is what explains why he's still in that relationship.
We have so many relationships. We have so many relationships. It's like being peers, being in a group together, parents, romantic, all you know. It's like it's a crazy connection because no.
Let's pause it right there. First and foremost, he said it's a crazy connection because they are in so many different groups. Okay, there are so many different things that they are intertwined with. I think he's comfortable with the intertwining, but like I said, he's seeing certain behaviors. To make that final step, I need to see certain behaviors. So let's go back to what we're talking about here. Let me bring it on the screen so you can actually see it again. Okay, we're back here. Why does a man want to stay? Well, the reality of the situation is he wants to stay because he stays because he believes he can fix it or he can get better. That's an opportunity. Okay, you have great qualities for a girlfriend. It's a strength. Y'all may have kids. That's a strength. Your motherly instinct is great. So if you haven't got kids, maybe you can be like, you know what, you got good motherly instincts. I think you could be a good partner or a good wife or a good mother in a sense, right? It's an opportunity. And then we have to look at the 6 areas of intimacy within a relationship: the sex, the mental, sexual, financial, emotional, spiritual. I forgot the other one. Physical as well, right? I forgot that one. That's the 6th one. Apologies. Physical, right? And these are areas of strength, okay? All right, or opportunities. Okay, they can be either or. What does that mean? It means that when we talk about strengths and opportunities, it means opportunities are areas of growth, things that can grow. Strengths are what is already good now. So in the areas of intimacy, he may be looking, seeing, okay, mentally, we might be on the same level, right? So that might be a strength. Sexually, we might be on the same level, right? Cool. Financially, might be on the same level, cool. But the emotional aspect, it's an opportunity, maybe needs a bit more fixing, right? Spiritual, okay, we could be the same level, right? It could be a strength there. Physical, okay, maybe it could be a strength. Even if one of those things is missing, the weight is put on it, depending on, and emotional is a very heavy weight, by the way. Sexual is very heavy weight as well, right? Depending on where you are and what you have already, right? They already got financials. I think they're both on a mental level. They're both quite, intelligent when they speak and everything, right? So it might be emotional. It might be that sexual connection per se. I think usually it's more emotional, anything, and that could be an area of strength or opportunity. Fine, that's why he's going to stay. So Big Sean says, obviously, they got kids together. They're in so many groups together. They're tied together. They're always going to be, and he actually says they're always going to be tied together, right? And they've built a friendship over first. Okay, there is safety in the time that they have spent. This is why he's going to stay, right? And not necessarily leave, right? Okay, but here's why he's not going to marry you, right? This is why he's not going to marry Jhene Aiko. It's simply this: external causes are going to be put into weaknesses and threats. Okay, we're going to put them in weaknesses. So external causes oftentimes are associated with the threats, and the weaknesses are often in tune with the internal. So your behavior, the other party's behavior, will be problematic. And this is one of the biggest things for a lot of men. They don't converse and they don't talk often. And the reality is they cause more issues when they don't speak up. But one of the biggest issues that men face with is that their woman's behavior is freaking problematic. And because it's not changing, he's not sure how he's going to last in a marriage. Maybe it's a family issue. Maybe nosy mom or nosy dad, or family members are a little bit wayward, and you have too much connection with them, too much influence from the family or whatever. Right? That can be a threat too. Okay, there could be someone better, which is actually a T and W. Is that it could, if you feel like you can get someone better, which I probably should put as the last point, is more of a threat and a weakness, right? Because it's your internal aspect and what you feel and think, but there's a threat because it's outside of the relationship. And then the fear that you will change or something will change, right? That is also a threat. When a man can't rely on your consistency of behavior, when he feels like you're not consistent, that you're going to change, or this particular thing that will change, it's going to ruin the relationship, that man will get rid of you, or at least he will stall the marriage because it is causing a threat and a future threat nonetheless. And therefore, I can't start building knowing that these threats are on the horizon. Now, there are internal causes, okay, what we call weaknesses that often plague in these relationships. One of them is money. Now, of course, in this situation, money is not an issue. They both have money. So these are going to have no issue there. But here's a big one. Fear, or if I'll get to that partner here, a fear of divorce, repeating the same pattern as your parents. Both of them come from divorcee families. Big Sean also has a fear of not having enough money. He had a big fear of that. If you want, I'll play that clip for the next episode. And so there are fears there of repeating the same patterns and repeating the same patterns that your parents have done that can influence your decision, especially if you see behaviors that you saw in the other party, or especially if you see behaviors in the other party that you saw in your parents that you didn't like, right? You don't want to go forward, but you need to communicate that, all right? And then oftentimes an internal cause can be a fear of commitment. He may not stay the course because he feels trapped. He may not go on to marry because he's afraid that he will trap himself. And if he ends up marrying, he's stuck now. He ain't got no other choice but to deal with you. And therefore, at that point in conjuncture, yeah, he don't want to get married no more. And that's an internal cause, okay? Now, here's the thing. I had some notes on here about why he wouldn't want to marry. They need to be on the same page, he said. He has internal issues. He's a perfectionist, okay? And this is a big one. And I'm going to play the clip again for you guys as well, right? That he's a perfectionist. Because this is a big, big issue. Because what it speaks to is actually the way that you interpret love and the way you deal with it. So if you're somebody who's a perfectionist, this part, pay attention, big time. This will help you as well, because you need to start working on it ASAP. Okay, listen to what he says here.
Has not been the main focus.
So y'all not necessarily together now. Y'all just figuring it out.
Oh, now look at you, Charlotte.
I'm just asking a question.
No, I'm not saying that either. That's, what I'm saying is that it's not perfect and that it needs to be work done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure. What's stopping you?
Oh, sorry. So he said it's not perfect and there's work to be done. Well, it's never going to be perfect. Right. And the reason why I'm saying it's perfectionist, because I watched another video where he spoke about being a perfectionist. The problem with perfectionism is that it's rooted in you having a fear that you're trying to avoid failure. Right. You're afraid of having a negative result and a negative orientation. Right. But it's actually rooted in the fact that you don't believe in unconditional love. And I really don't believe in unconditional love per se. Right. With human beings, there is always conditions. You cheat on me a couple of times, I'm going to get rid of you. But what I mean by that is that they always place conditions on their love, meaning I have to always perform. And if I don't perform well, then you won't love me. But where does that come from? Childhood. It stems from a childhood where you felt like you had to perform to be seen and understood. And then that plays a role in your marriage or your relationship where you're like always trying to perform and make it perfect to avoid the failure. So the only way I can get my parent or caregiver to love me was when I showed up as a musician, when I showed up in my talents and skills, but they didn't love me for who I was, or at least I didn't feel like they loved me for who I actually was. And because I can't just be, I'm always moving. And so if I'm always moving, then I have value. When I'm always doing something, when I'm always producing something, when I'm always winning something, then I have value. I don't know how to have intrinsic, inherent value that is based upon just me being me. And because of that, perfectionism, you're going to be afraid to commit to a marriage because you are afraid of how love works. You feel like maybe you're not perfect or they're not perfect. And so therefore you're going to flaw find every single time as to why you're not going to get married, because you're afraid of failing that marriage. You're afraid of divorcing just like your parents did. And so it's going to make it very difficult as soon as you see a behavior in Jhene Aiko, or as soon as you see a behavior that you yourself seen, maybe you saw in your dad, because your mom and dad are not together and your dad's not really with him as such, right? Maybe you're like, oh, can't get married. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes, right? Because the way I hear him talk about fatherhood and his kids, he really loves his child. He really loves being a father, it sounds like. So I don't think he wants to put his child through the same thing that he went through. And I think that's a major ordeal. The reality of the situation is, though, by you not marrying this woman too, you potentially can still end up doing the same thing. Not marrying does not guarantee that you won't do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's part one. We're going to do a part two of this probably tomorrow as well for you guys. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I want to let you guys know again, if you do want coaching, if you love what we do here, I am your favorite dating and relationship coach, by the way. I am doing emergency meetings. My diary is chock blocked for the next 3 months. It ain't opening again. I can't lie to you, okay? But if you want the emergency meetings, it's going to cost you a lot more. I won't lie to you. But my diary is open on a Monday and Thursday. The link is down below. It is linked as emergency meeting. Q jump. Okay, so if you want a Q jump and you're ready to heal, you're ready to grow, you're ready for transformation right now, then this is the time to reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? If you want a queue jump, it's going to cost you a bit more, but trust me, we set it out, we help people, and people are always blessed when they come through the coaching. It's why we are 3 months ahead booked. I probably, if I own my diary some more, I'll be 4 months booked, but you know, it is what it is. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked today. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love.